when my grandfather first started the business, it really was collecting money after church, quite literally, and then banking it and providing financial services to people face to face. Now we are pretty digital, so people can access all of their financial services either via the website or via the app. And
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pitch Black Unboxing Show. All we're here to do is to celebrate, to cheer on, and challenge us as the UK's Black community to just up our game and be our very best. So if you haven't got the latest issue of Pitch Black magazine, please go out and do that now. In fact, you can get it free online. The current issue is always free at pitchblack.online / or /, whichever one you choose, free. So that's pitchblack.online free.
Okay.
So who we got with us today?
Today we have somebody called Shane Bowes.
Okay. Who is, well, actually, let's not ask who is Shane. Why don't we ask Shane who is Shane? That's a good thing.
Hi, Shane.
Shane Bowes. How are you, sir?
Good morning, everyone. I'm fine, thank you. How are you keeping?
We're good.
We're
very
well.
good. Always good. We are always excited to celebrate and cheer on business owners, Black professionals on our channel. So you are indeed a business profile that we're doing, sir. And I guess the first question is, who is Shane Bowes?
Okay, so Shane is a regular guy from South London, likes to hang out, chill out with his family in his spare time, go to the gym, go to church. Yeah, I'm just a regular guy. Professionally, I head up the team at the Pentecostal Credit Union, which is a community bank which provides financial services to Britain's Pentecostal faith community.
Okay, good.
Right.
Some great work there.
All right. And that leads us really nicely then into what do you do? Can you tell us a little bit more about PCU or Pentecostal Credit Union?
Okay, so Pentecostal Credit Union is a community bank which provides financial services to Britain's Pentecostal faith community. Now, as 98% of people who attend Pentecostal churches are of African and Caribbean heritage, we are primarily then a major financial institution, really, serving Britain's Black, African and Caribbean community. Now, we're a community bank as opposed to a retail bank. The main differences between a retail bank and a community bank is that a community bank is owned by the customers or members that use it, as opposed to a retail bank, which is owned and controlled by a small group of shareholders. So a community bank is regulated in the same sort of way as a retail bank or building society. So we're regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority and the Prudential Regulatory Authority, who are the same regulatory authorities that regulate the banks and building societies. And we are members of the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. So all deposits held in our institution are insured up to the first 85,000, as they are in a retail bank. So you have the same sort of safeguards as you would in a retail bank as you have in a community bank. So your money's just as safe with us as is otherwise. We're also members of the Financial Ombudsman Service, just like the major banks are. So if a person has a dispute, then they can take that to an independent ombudsman for resolution.
Okay.
Yeah. In addition to that, community banks differ from retail banks insofar as they are not open to the general public. We serve a particular constituent group. So a lot of community banks serve particular localities, such as London boroughs or employment groups, whereas retail banks actually serve the general public.
Okay, brilliant.
So, Shane, you head up the team, you say. You head up the team for PCU. And as a community bank, and you said you're just a guy from South London, right? So is it a community within South London, or is it the national faith community?
So it's national. So yeah.
Okay.
So as I said, as I mentioned at the beginning, we draw our customer base from Great Britain.
Okay.
So anybody that has an affiliation to a Pentecostal church within Great Britain is eligible to open an account and take out our services. Now, it's important to point out that a person doesn't necessarily have to be a signed up member of a Pentecostal church. They don't necessarily need to be a regular attender at a Pentecostal church, but they do need to be able to demonstrate an association. So if you've been to a Pentecostal church for a funeral or for a wedding, then you are eligible to take out our services.
Okay.
So if I've been to church once,
yeah,
I can still take all that services.
That's right. As long as you're able to demonstrate that you've been to church once,
yes,
yes, Colin, you're eligible to take out service.
I like it.
Yeah. So it's an understanding of what the Pentecostal church looks like.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we try to keep our, in order to be a retail bank, we need to have a common bond.
Yeah.
And our common bond is one of faith as opposed to one of locality or employment. And because almost all people within the African and Caribbean community have an association to a Pentecostal church, even if they're not a signed up member of the faith, or even if they're of an alternative faith or no faith at all, almost all of us can have an association because we've all been to, attend a church.
Sunday school.
Yeah.
The legacy, grandma, granddad.
Yes. Okay.
Aunties.
Now that's a really good point. Speaking of legacy, I understand this was actually started, the Pentecostal Credit Union, some 43 years ago by a gentleman called the Reverend Carmel Jones, who is your grandfather. So there's a nice bit of legacy running through PCU there. That's a great heritage to carry on. So how did you get involved in PCU? And when?
Okay, so it's almost by accident, actually, because when I graduated from university in 1999, my granddad asked me what my plans were, to do, what I was going to do with my politics degree.
Yeah.
And I said that actually I had already applied for a job in the Home Office, and I'd already taken an entrance exam to do to get a job at the life sentences unit at prison service headquarters. So the wait time for them to do their security clearance and everything was going to be between 6 and 12 months. So he asked me, what are you going to do with yourself until they've completed the security clearance? I said, I don't know, I'll probably get another job somewhere.
Yeah.
I said, why don't you come down to the credit union and do some work experience?
Was it volunteer?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So it was work experience. It was voluntary. So I mean, I didn't have anything to do, for the next few months. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll come down. I mean, I didn't have any banking or financial qualifications as such. The financial sector was not something that offered me any interest at all. But I said, yeah, I'll come down and give it a try and get some work experience. Wow. And in the end, I went there and I was there for about 13 months before my security clearance actually came back from the Home Office. And at the end of the 13 months, he said to me, well, if you are going to go, we'd still like to keep you on, even as a volunteer part-time, we don't really want to lose you. And I said to him at the end, there's something about this business that I really like. So, I'm not going to take that job in the Home Office. I'm going to stay here and try and do something here. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah. And Granddad was really happy.
In hindsight, Jay, do you think he knew exactly what he was doing from that moment? He said, what are you going to do with your time?
Yeah.
He had it all sussed.
Why don't you come?
Perhaps, I mean, at the time, the board at the credit union was, shall we say, didn't have a lot of young people within it and everything. And I guess what he and the other directors were looking for really was some young blood, perhaps people with maybe different ideas in that they could bring to bear in the business.
Okay.
Very wise legacy planning.
Absolutely.
That's what it sounds like. So it's very interesting. So it wasn't a young Shane running around Granddad, watching and seeing, but it kind of like an older, studied Shane that was like, oh, okay, you know what? There's something about this. Good. It's good.
Yeah.
So what's been the impact in the last 43 years of the PCU? I mean, unfortunately, Reverend Carmel Jones, the founder, your granddad, he passed away last year. So that his leadership then, I guess, got transferred to yourself. What's been the impact of not just that transition, but also PCU over the last 43 years?
Okay, well, one thing I would say is Granddad had been retired from the PCU.
Okay.
He'd been retired for over 10 years, actually.
Oh, okay.
So at the time of his passing, he wasn't actually involved in the committee of management of the credit union. And once he'd retired, we actually had 2 previous CEOs before myself. So I was actually working underneath 2 other people at that time. I guess one thing I think it's important to remember about the Pentecostal.
Sorry, just to kind of interject right there. That right there is brilliant transition and what's the word they use? Not contingency planning.
Continuity.
Because unfortunately, in some of our organizations, the people who found it, they hang on to it until their deathbed. So this is really good. That there was really good legacy planning. So big ups to Reverend Jones. I'm sure he's looking down and saying, well done, grandson.
I hope so.
Sorry, I interrupted you there.
Yeah. What I was about to say really is that the Pentecostal Credit Union is a product of Windrush.
Yes.
Firstly and foremostly, because when many of our people came to this country from West Africa and the Caribbean, they found accessing financial services very difficult. And my grandfather, the founder of the credit union, was no different. He came here in 1955. And when he came to this country, he was a member of the established church in Jamaica, as many people were. But when he actually came to the UK and attended his local Anglican church on the 3rd Sunday, he famously told people that the minister, the vicar, at the end of the service, came up to him and told him that many of the parishioners were quite uncomfortable with having a black person within their midst, and would he mind not coming back? And that experience of exclusion led him into the realms of the Pentecostal church movement in Great Britain, which at that time was a fledgling movement with most of its adherents meeting for church services in people's homes. And so he went to worship with a small group of worshippers in a home in Clapham. And that fledgling church group grew and then moved into the premises of a community centre in the early 1960s, and subsequently managed to buy their church building at Fentiman Road in Oval in South London in the early 1970s. But the experience that his own church had of actually being able to finance was really through the old partner system. It was really through people working, throwing a hand, as they say, and then giving some of that money over to the church, so that the church was then able to come together and purchase that building. But many of the other fledgling church groups at the time were not able to get access to finance. And it wasn't just church groups that were having that difficulty with access to finance. It was also new immigrants coming into the UK. Many of us were living in shared lodgings or shared rental accommodation, often in quite squalid conditions, and having to rent in these conditions. And you may be familiar with the old adage, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. And so it was difficult then for us also to get access to finance for rent, to buy property, to start businesses. And so there was that vacuum really insofar as there not being a financial institution that was really going to cater to the needs of the black community. And so in 1979, my grandfather started the credit union. He saw an advert in the Sun newspaper about how to start a credit union. He he paid £1.20 for a rule book at the time. And then he thought it would be a really good idea. He met with 16 of his friends in his old house on Ramsden Road in Balham in South London, and said that this is something that we should all start in order to become self-sufficient, really, and really own our own financial direction. And so the credit union was started in his front room, with an initial deposit of a few pounds with 16 friends, and from that the institution grew. It then employed a full-time manager in 1983. It got a grant from the old GLC to employ a full-time member of staff. And in 1988, the institution grew so large that it actually had to move from my grandfather's house and from the church where it also moved. And we bought our premises in Balham in South London, which remains our headquarters today.
Wow.
And to date, we are one of the we're not one of the largest credit unions, but we are one of the credit unions with the largest capital to assets ratios, which is the formula from which you can calculate the wealth of an institution.
Okay,
wow. That is brilliant. And there are so many parallels to your grandfather's story with my own father's story, and I'm sure your father's story, in the sense of, you know, coming from the Caribbean, being really churched is probably the right word, going into these institutions and being told, you know, don't come back, in really, really nice terms. And that, of course, kickstarted the need, or became the need for our own institutions, of which the Black Pentecostal movement in the UK came about. So definitely humble beginnings there. A need was seen, and, you know, your grandfather seized the opportunity. So were you going to ask something?
I was just thinking, and so we've heard about who you are and the legacy and how you've come to be offering this amazing service. So what are the actual financial benefits then? What's the difference? We've heard the differences between a retail bank and a community bank in terms of membership ownership sort of thing. What are the benefits then to someone who says, oh, do you know what? I like the community idea. What are the actual benefits financially?
It's a really good question. And, you know, I always say to people that, you know, they should open an account in the credit union, not just because of sentiment, but actually because our product offering is actually really competitive, and it's actually something that really you should really consider. Now, the first thing why a person should consider us as a service provider is because our interest rates on loan products is typically lower than it is with a retail bank. So currently the current base rate of interest in this country is 5.25%. So your typical mortgage right now is anything from about 5.7% upwards. Our secured interest rate, loan rate, is 5%. So we are one of a few financial institutions in this country that's actually offering secured lending products below the base rate. So there you go. Your typical secured loan is going to cost you less at the Pentecostal.
So there you go, like that. That's massive.
That's massive.
It's like,
it is.
Oh, okay, below the base rate.
Yes. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, unlike a retail bank, we don't charge any ancillary charges or charges for early repayment. So if you have a mortgage and you decide to make overpayments or pay it off early, you'll typically pay a penalty or, you know, a percentage of the outstanding balance. In the Pentecostal Credit Union, we don't charge any ancillary or early repayment charges. If we lend you the money today and you bring it back tomorrow, you owe us a day's rate of interest and nothing more. There are no ancillary charges. In
I
addition
hope
to
our
that.
listeners are really getting hold of this, you know. I hope there's a whole sway of people like, we need to.
And of course, I guess one of the key drivers of this is you are owned by your members,
yes,
not by a group of shareholders who are looking for returns.
Because
absolutely.
It's a shame. That's why I asked the question in the first instance, because and you said you try and encourage people to look at the benefits, not just sentiment. Because I was thinking, you know what, this sounds really good.
Really does.
The community thing, the legacy thing, the whole Windrush thing for, you know, Black peoples of various heritage, and I can imagine that you have a lot of people that will open an account based on the sentiment. But continue and tell us more about the benefits.
Yeah, because it's interesting, because after the murder of George Floyd in America, we had a real upsurge in members from the African and Caribbean community joining the credit union, simply by virtue of the fact that we were a Black-owned financial institution.
Wow.
You know, they weren't interested in any of the benefits, really. They just wanted to get behind, you know, a Black-owned business. But as I was saying, there are some real benefits. Another benefit is the fact that unlike a retail bank, which shares its profits with its shareholders only, in a credit union or community bank such as ours, all the profits come back to the members in the form of a tax-free dividend. Yeah. So we present our accounts at an AGM. There's full transparency. If we have £100 left over, once we have paid all of the bills, out of that £100, there is a surplus left. We are then dividing that surplus or that profit amongst all of the members, as opposed to, you know, putting it offshore into the hands of shareholders.
Oh.
I like the way you say put it offshore, because we know that's what happens. But yes.
Oh dear.
That is really, really good. And anybody who's watching, please go and start an account with PCU. What would that look like? Apart from coming and saying, I went to a wedding or a baby dedication, what does that look like? Do you have to come into the branch? How does that work if someone wanted to open an account today?
So we've got an interactive website and a mobile app. So opening accounts is quite easy. It takes about 5 minutes. You simply go to the website or download the app, fill out your personal details on the application form. We have an electronic ID and V search on both platforms. You can be approved for a membership instantly. There is a minimum deposit required of £35, £10 of which is a non-refundable entrance fee, and then you open your credit union account with an opening deposit of £25, and then you're good to go.
Tell you what, we're going to open an account.
Okay.
Okay. Brilliant. You've now got two. Do we do joint or separate? Or
yes, you can do joint membership applications, or you can do individual applications.
Right. You're going to get a joint membership application coming in today. And maybe not today, but soon.
All right.
Do we do on the theme of legacy? So can people open accounts for their children? Open savings accounts for like mortgages and things you mentioned?
Yes. So you can, just like a retail bank, you can open an individual account, a joint account, junior savers account, a corporate account for a church, charity, or business. Yeah. So the same types of account services are available in the credit union as they are in a retail bank.
Just as they say, stick a pin right there. I didn't realize that you did business accounts, because of course most of our audience either are in business or are thinking of being in business. So talk a little bit about your business account. What does that look like?
So because our credit union really came out of the Black church, really, we, unlike a lot of credit unions, our origins are actually come out of business, as opposed to being started really by people who just wanted to start a credit union for personal reasons. So our corporate accounts are quite simple to open. You just need a certificate of incorporation, either from Companies House or the Charity Commission, proof of ID for all of the signatories that are going to be on the account. And like the personal account, you can open it with an opening deposit of £35. There are some benefits to having a corporate account. So unlike retail banks that often levy charges on business accounts for transactions and other services, there are no running costs with having a corporate account in Pentecostal Credit Union. Yeah, it's free banking for businesses.
You know what? After we finished here, I'd love to have a conversation about what we could do for our customer base. Because I think there's some good stuff there. Speaking of which, you talked about, in terms of growth, you talked about it being started with £1.20 back in
1979.
19 how long? 1979. Now, what is it? What does it look like now? What are some of the numbers involved? You know, the volume of the customer base, your asset base, your loan book. What are some of the numbers involved?
Okay, so we have 2,600 members or customers. Okay. We hold deposits for our customers valuing 10.3 million. We have a loan portfolio of customers at about 8.8 million. Okay. We have 16 million pounds worth of assets, and our capital, we have a solvency ratio of 128%, which means for every pound in the credit union, there's an extra 28 pence in the institution. We have a capital to assets ratio of 23%. So the government requirement is about 8%. So we sit at about 23%. So the institution is extremely liquid, extremely solvent. And it's a good place to be for us and our customers.
And I suspect it's very different to your typical high street bank. Of course, they've got lots of volume, but they've got challenges around liquidity, I suspect.
Yeah. For us, I suppose the overriding the biggest challenge for us really is trying to recruit more and more people from the African and Caribbean community to use our services, so that, you know, because at the moment, although Britain is a different place to how it was in 1979, many of our people do have a lot of choices in terms of financial services, from retail banks, challenger banks, and those sorts of things. It's about really positioning ourselves so that people can actually see us as a viable alternative.
Yeah, because James, some of the things that I'm hearing from you, because I've known about PCU for many years in the background somewhere, and to my shame, it's kind of like, how come I didn't actually know?
I didn't realize that you did business accounts, for example. I didn't realize you did mortgages.
So not just joining for the sentiment, but because it's actually a very savvy, practical
absolutely
solution. So it's like getting that word out there.
So in terms of getting that word out, then what is your ideal customer? Who are you looking to recruit to join the 2,600 members who are currently there?
Really, you know, in our business plan, we want to be the financial provider of choice for Britain's African and Caribbean communities. And so our typical customer can be anybody, really, because, you know, they can be rich, they can be poor, they can be male, they can be female, they can be old, they can be young. At the end of the day, we have products and services really to benefit anybody who fits any particular constituent group. So yes, I mean, it's really just about trying to promote our business to the community as a whole.
Fantastic. So have you got anything to add? Or
no, I'm just thinking, you know, we need to open a few.
Her brain's firing now. So what does the PCU look like over the next 10 years, for example? What is the future of PCU?
Well, we want to grow the business from a fiscal point of view and from a membership point of view. And over the last few years, we've actually also been on a digital journey, really, to try to digitalize or modernize the product offering that the credit union has. Now, when my grandfather first started the business, it really was collecting money after church, quite literally, you know, and then banking it and providing financial services to people face to face. Now we are pretty digital, so people can access all of their financial services either via the website or via the app. And we have an ambition really to continue to invest in our digital service offerings. Also, to continue to be able to offer more services, more akin, or to align ourselves more in terms of the services that banks can offer. Because one of the things that people do come to us and say is that, you know, if we're able to even move more towards the banking side, not foregoing our community or constituent interests, But if we're able to offer more things that banks can do, such as insurance and things like that, then people would then have more confidence about moving more of their services across to us. So we have also ambitions, really, also just to grow the types of products that we can do.
Okay, love it. Well done, sir.
Very good stuff.
We are really pleased that you're not just doing a great job, but carrying on the legacy that was started by your grandfather. And it's really, really exciting to see a financial institution with such great heritage that hasn't fallen by the wayside or got stuck in the past, but is building on that legacy to provide some great services to our community. So very well done to you and your team.
Thank you.
And now, before you go, we've got to do the quick fire dozen. Too much about this. We're just going to fire some questions at you, and you're going to say the first thing. That first question is jollof
or rice and peas.
Rice and peas.
Oh,
okay. Plantain
or plantain.
Plantain.
Beach holiday
or city break.
Beach holiday.
Okay. Cash flow
or capital appreciation.
Capital appreciation.
Okay. I like it. Netflix
or YouTube.
YouTube.
Reggae.
Reggae.
Oh. Okay.
Brother, didn't even wait until we finished the question, you know?
One love is out.
One love indeed.
Okay.
Listening to music
or listening to a podcast.
Listening to music.
Okay.
Reggae.
Yeah.
Uber Eats
or Deliveroo.
Probably Deliveroo.
Okay. Stocks and shares
or crypto.
Stocks and shares.
Samsung
or Apple.
Apple.
Okay. Right. Night in
or night out.
Night in.
Okay.
Listening to reggae.
Yeah.
And getting food from, was it Deliveroo?
Deliveroo. Yes.
There you go.
Right.
Okay. Last one. Now, before I ask this, I just need to check. Are you a vegetarian?
No.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Right. So this is a big one now. This is the pièce de résistance of all our questions.
Okay.
Oxtail
or curry goat.
Probably curry goat.
Okay.
Curry goat, night in, reggae.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say oxtail. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You're trying to get people to join.
Clearly. I'm the oxtail brigade, or was, but we won't go into that. I'm on a vegan journey right now. My wife Judy is not convinced that it's permanent, and I'm trying to prove her wrong. So
with the oxtail kind of recruitment you were trying to do, and
we won't go into that. Now, listen, Shane, thank you so much for being on the Pitch Black unboxing show. Thank you for doing our business profile. Thank you for all you and your team at PCU are doing in just providing some great banking services, financial services for our community and people who are from a Pentecostal heritage or have an affiliation with the Pentecostal Church. Well done, and we look forward to cheering you on, celebrating all the great work, and just challenging you to push the boat out even further. So thank you. God bless you. Speak soon.
Thank you. Bye.